Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of This Garden Life. It's a special segment because we're going to do a cottage tour for fall. Stuart, you and I have promised this for a while, and we are finally going to make good on that promise. So you guys just put on your imagination caps, pretend as if you are knocking at my door, and I am going to welcome you for a little fall open house. Stuart, what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, come in this house, my mother would say. I guess I would say, come in this cottage.
There you go.
And welcome to my fall decor, my fall open house, if you will. It's been a while since we've done anything inside, Stuart. And let's pretend that we are greeting all of our followers here. And when you came to the door, I would have given you some kind of beverage that I think would have just made you feel immediately welcome, or that would be the intent anyway. So we're in the parlor, and there have been some slight changes, I think, since we were here last. And they're not great. They are not really dramatic. But one thing I have found about being in this cottage is that because it's a little bit smaller and the spaces are more intimate, I feel compelled to kind of switch things up, switch up my accessories, switch up things seasonally to make it interesting to me, I guess, and to just use the things that I have. So one change that I made was I switched out my summery looking linen pillows, particularly the plaid ones, the ones that were in blue and white on these chairs, and I replaced them with this gorgeous navy velvet and gold embroidery pattern. I got these on eBay. They were originally Pottery Barn, I think. And then speaking of pillows, look at this, Stuart. I don't think you've seen this yet.
Yeah.
Does this look familiar?
It's very good way it is.
Okay, so if you have followed me for any length of time, you might remember that I found this on a thrifting adventure, and I decided that it would just look great as a lumbar pillow for this settee. I can't remember how inexpensive it was, maybe $6 or $7.
Under 10 for
But
sure.
I took it to someone who does alterations for us, and they were able to magically transform it into a beautiful lumbar pillow that I think looks great on my Our House settee. I think it looks very seasonal, and it looks kind of, it's not overdone. It's not overdone. So I love the way it looks. Just a few other things. I took all of the pumpkins and gourds off of the mantle, and I put them in a massive bowl that I got on my last trip to Santa Fe with some equally large scale leaves that I put a hint of glaze on, and I just like the way it looks, kind of statuesque, a minimalist kind of still life in the corner, and it will remain all through Thanksgiving and until
It works for so long, doesn't it?
works for so long until maybe it gets switched out for Christmas. So I love the way that looks. I also did away with a lot of the things that were on the mantle when I put them in the bowl, and now it's just a little bit more simple. It is different colors in my candles, some sweet, sweet watercolors, compliments of my friends Jack and Julia from down the street. And I just like the way that it looks a little bit less cluttered. And then most of my blue and white ceramic, blue and white porcelain remained, and it's kind of an all season look that I am starting to migrate towards. I think I've mentioned that many times before. Here's another one of these pillows. I need to fluff my pillows, Stuart.
They look good though. I like
And these chairs, and by the way, you guys, these chairs used to be the end chairs for the dining table at the Fairy Tale House. And so they've just been repurposed here. The other ones were sold off. Now this, I just love. This is my little treasure bowl. My little foraging treasure bowl. So I bought the bowl itself. It was a thrift store find. But the rest of these finds are just compliments of things that I have found in the neighborhood and in other people's lawns. So I love these tiny, tiny little pine cones. I think they are just dear. I love a perfect acorn, and these are about as perfect as you can get because,
those are like
yes,
cartoon perfect.
yes, they're cartoon perfect. And I love them when when they still have their caps on. Now this is the sweetest idea I have heard in a long time. So these are obviously the seed heads from some maple trees. And my friend Gail, I collected these at her home, and she collects even more of them, and she bags them up to give to, I think it's a niece, a family member who is away at college. I think I'm remembering this correctly. And she said that when this student is stressed about something, when she just needs a relief, then she takes whole handfuls of these out of the bag, goes outside and just tosses them up and watches them float down. And isn't that a charming anxiety reducer?
Really cool thing.
I know, I just love it. I think it's such a dear idea. A heads up that my garden journal comes out on November 14th, and we're going to be showing you the ways that I like to use it. But if you haven't ordered yours, or if you haven't ordered my book, then you might want to do that, and we'll put the link right in the description box below. If I was having guests and I wanted, as I said, to greet them with something to drink, then I could just have my wine, my chilled wine here, and some wine glasses. So immediately upon arrival, if they wanted some kind of beverage or whatever, I would try to welcome them and make them feel immediately at home. Stuart, what do you say we take a little break here and we can go see what I've done in the kitchen, if anything at all? Is there any easier centerpiece to construct than simply a basket with fruit in it? And preferably, for me at least, I really like it all being one kind of fruit. I think that's so much more beautiful than a hodgepodge of different things. Now, obviously, for practical purposes, you might want to have your bananas mixed in with your oranges and your apples. But as a centerpiece, I think it's beautiful to just concentrate on one thing. And these are Gala apples. Now, Stuart made the comment, and it was so astute of you, that the reason that this is beautiful is not only because apples are just intrinsically lovely, but also because these apples in particular have these great long stems on them.
Like that one behind that one.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, and that makes them look as if they're more fresh picked. These actually just came in a bag from Homeland, but nevertheless, it's all about the story that our minds make up as we're looking at something. And then from the last flower arrangement that I had on the table, I deconstructed it, threw most of it into the composter, but then I saved some of the Nandina branches because just a little bit of greenery, I think, makes it look more festive and more intentional kind of as a centerpiece. And then while I don't normally light my candles in the middle of the day, nevertheless, it makes it very, very homey if it's a cloudy day, if it's a cold and rainy day, or definitely in the evening.
I'm sure somebody notices how cool all these baskets you have stuff in are.
I have just tons of baskets.
You have so many, you don't even notice them anymore.
I probably don't notice them anymore. And it's one thing that I always look for when I go thrifting. And the other reason I look for them is sometimes you want baskets of all different shapes. Now that's my question of the day. Are you a basket hoarder like I am? And what are the favorite ways you like to use your baskets? I would say that I've never met a basket I didn't like, but that wouldn't be true. Some of them.
I've seen you not like them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I like them just to be really natural.
But you like most.
But they're indispensable for things like this.
It's great. I've got 3 or 4 in my house that have been yours that I use. They're in use every day.
Yeah, over and over again. And this one happens to have handles, so it's good for when you're making a delivery of smile presents or something like that to someone. So I switched out the pillows that used to be in this banquette area. They were just cotton, and I have switched them out for some more wintry fabrics. These have kind of a, one of them has kind of a velveteen finish, and the other one very much feels velvety. And they're comfortable. They're very, very squishy, so you can sink right back into them. Though sometimes when we're dining, if it's going to be a large crowd or something, I'll remove them completely just to make it a little less fussy and a little bit easier to move around in the banquette area. I've switched out our Halloween napkins and smile presents and enter turkeys. So we have turkeys now, and I have out some of that Manakora honey because it is my new thing. And oh my gosh, it is just absolutely decadent. So it's kind of fun. So people can, if I've got hot chocolate out for them, if I have hot tea or whatever, I can do a little setup of that for my guests, and they can kind of serve themselves. So that's a fun thing to do. Now, Leah and I put together our smile present for the month, and I have those in a basket that I can just, and I've lost a couple of them. Somebody isn't going to get a treat. So I have my basket of smile presents that just say Happy November, and I won't go into too much detail about what the smile presents are composed of. We can talk about that later, but I keep them in a location that's really easy to just grab. Usually I actually have them in the parlor on my way out. I wanted something very simple and just easy to put together. Compliments, this time not at Trader Joe's, but
I thought for sure.
no, but of Homeland, and I love these asters. They, you know what,
tricked about 1,000 people into thinking you were.
and think I was going to say Trader Joe's. Well, I want to show love to everyone, my florists, my garden centers, and all of my grocery stores, I guess. So what I like about this, though, is it's just down the street. So I can walk down there and pick a bouquet of flowers and put them here to replace the arrangement that I had here earlier, Stuart, which was inspired by all of those things that that were cuttings from my yard, the Joseph's coat, the hibiscus, the lantana. It was a beautiful lavender and dark burgundy ensemble that I had here on the corner. And always, Stuart will tell you, this isn't just something that I have just for these cottage tours. I always have some kind of flower arrangement here. It was the first thing I noticed when I saw the cottage for the very first time, and I thought, oh, forever and always there will be a spectacular some kind of centerpiece right here on the island, and I can easily just move it out of the way. I've got this little platform on glide so that when we dine at the island, I can just easily move it in and out.
I remember how hard it was going to be to keep.
Yes, and Stuart, do you want to know how my no dump zone?
Tell me all about it.
My no dump zone has worked out for me. So I kind of declared once we bought the cottage that this would be a no dump zone. So when we come in, and this includes me too, I can't just dump stuff on the corner of the island, because this is first and foremost what you see. It's a focal point when you walk in the door.
We came in and put our stuff there.
And came in and put your stuff. So then, but once it gets down, we immediately relocate it to someplace else. If I'm working on a project, in other words, I try to kind of keep it clean and uncluttered most of the time. Why? Because it just makes me happy. It makes me more content and feel a little bit more organized when everything is in place. I don't think I switched out too much. Oh yes, I forgot the cookies. and let me just say that there's a lot less cookies in this little cookie plate than there were before you and Leah and Hubs were here this morning, but that's okay. That's what they are there for. And usually this time of year, when you tend to have more guests than I do in the summertime, then I do try to have some kind of sweet treats out. Stuart especially likes the nuts, because I always have some kind of nuts out, and Leah too really like that. Okay, so as I was saying, Stuart, in the cabinet here I really haven't changed that much. But when we do watch TV, in case this is the first time you have visited the cottage, you can see that I do have a TV in here, and it's really nice. I can watch old movies while I cook, and yes, I have started to cook a little bit more. We made some pesto, didn't we, Stuart?
Yes, we did.
And it was pretty delicious. So this is, I just love the fact that I can hide the TV. I can hide everything in here. If I am working on a project at the dining room table or at the counter, then I can take all of that and I can just shove it in there and I can kind of hide it out of sight. Just for you, I have the sconces illuminated, and I'm going to show these again because I get so many questions about them. These are not hardwired in. They just have battery operated bulbs, and I can turn them on and turn them off with the touch of a remote. I can make them cool or I can make them warm, and I just think it's just brilliant, and it was a lot less expensive than if I had hardwired something in. And I don't have these on all of the time, again, just in the evenings or just when we entertain. So this is sufficient for me anyhow. And by the way, I think the mom chair, I know it's sold out, but I believe it's back in stock.
So cool.
So if you were one that was wanting a mom chair, as I dubbed it, if you were one that was wanting one and they were sold out, I think they are back in stock.
That thing slides like a champion.
It does slide like a champion. Okay, not a lot of zhuzhing going on over here, though I did have this wonderful ginkgo leaf garland, compliments of terrain, that just gives me a little bit of an autumnal vibe and beautifully frames the cutting boards here. And I just kind of like the way it looks. And you can see I even have a cookbook out because yes, I have been cooking a little bit more. So I love the fact that all of my accessories are kind of in this blonde wood, so it makes things, when you walk in the door, look less cluttered in the kitchen. And I think that's the biggest challenge when you've got an open space layout like this. And it was new to me when we moved in, and it's kind of been a little bit of a challenge, but I'm learning some things. I'm even considering, maybe this is down the line, you guys can weigh in. I love the fact that it's open, but I also sometimes really wish that there was a little bit more of a demarcation between the parlor and the kitchen. And I've even thought of ways that I could separate this off right here. So I'm thinking about that. I've got a couple of ideas in mind if you guys want to weigh in. So it's that thing. I love the openness of it, but sometimes I want more privacy. So maybe the solution would have to be something that I could
Make this side of the wall more private.
make this side more private
That's
so I
smart.
could be in there. And if I'm entertaining in here and there's a mess in the kitchen, I can close it off. So I'll show you something in another part of the house that might be kind of a solution to this dilemma. But that's something for the future. That isn't anything that's going to happen
Tease,
anytime
that's what I
soon.
like.
Yes. To be determined. The coffee station, you guys know that I moved it a while back over here, and one of my little life luxuries, I got a white coffee pot, again, because I wanted things to seem very homogeneous when you looked this way, that nothing would really stand out too much. And so this white coffee pot tends to blend in a little bit more when you are coming from the front door. The other thing that I love about it is it's just so easy. Everybody can serve themselves, and yes, they do, don't they, Stuart? This really gets a workout. So, you know, I've played with things. You guys probably do this too. I'll move things around. Again, it's another fun thing from living in a smaller home. I can get different vibrations just by moving one thing to one part of the kitchen from where it currently resides. I am loving my Frigidaire toaster. I think I talked to you about that. Maybe by the time you see this video, you'll have seen it. My chronology on some of this stuff is kind of messed.
You
is
either
kind
have
of
or will.
you
See?
have or will. Anyhow, it was another little life luxury again because it's white and it's not as massive as the other one. Just some grace notes over here. I love this apple-shaped gourd.
Such an apple.
I know, it's just so fun, and I love the way it looks from this painting, this watercolor from my sister Beth. Let's take a break here, Stuart, before we proceed. Now, what I've discovered since moving into the cottage is sometimes it's the simplest gestures, decor gestures, that make me the happiest. And I love this apple-shaped gourd. It is, I think, it is just elegant in its simplicity. And I love the fact that it echoes all of the beautiful hues in this watercolor from my oldest sister, Beth, who lives in South Korea. She sent this to me because I loved it so much, and I love her. And then over here, I have another piece of artwork to show you. Look, Stuart, I don't think you've seen this. Is this not dear?
Wow.
So my friend Papa Jim, who is my BFF Deborah's father, he painted one of the fairy tale house, and now he painted one for me of the cottage. And I think it is just so dear, and it makes me think of him. And by the way, he is 90 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he still loves getting up every morning. He has just so many things. I love the way he says that he wakes up every morning and thinks about what he can get excited about that day. So awesome. I know. So he would be, he is a great mentor for all of us. And I have switched out my blue glasses for green. Now, Stuart, you love these. You always tell me that
the feel of them.
The bubble glass, it is. And they're kind of heavy and they have heft, and I think that contributes to their appeal. So I also have these baskets here that I can serve in different locations in the cottage or outside of the cottage when we are entertaining. And I'm getting ready to starting to do a lot more entertaining here this fall and into the winter and the holiday season. Okay, so that pretty much covers what I think of as the front part of the house. Now, you want to take a little break here, Stuart, and we can go to the private quarters of the house.
There she is.
Well, one of the reasons that we moved from the other house into the cottage was practical. We liked the fact that this had the master bedroom on the first floor. Now, did we still have a number of years left in us where we could have gone up and down the stairs? Absolutely. But nevertheless, I think it's as you guys know, it's just important that you kind of think ahead and think into the future. And so that's not only aesthetic, and I was ready to start another garden, but it was also very, very practical. So this area is, again, kind of our private quarters. This is just a small hallway, but I think it's really brilliant the way when they redid the interior of the cottage, because this was redone from stem to stern, of how they used space. So this is just a little kind of enclave right here, off of which goes 2 bedrooms, one of which I've converted into my office. So I found, if you have followed me, you have seen this table before. I found online a perfectly shallow, perfectly long console table that doesn't in any way obstruct passage into this area, and I love the way it looks. I love the simple lines, and I can zhuzh it up or leave it as streamlined as I please. And then over here I showed you, I think, was it maybe last week's video, that this campaign chest is what I use to keep all of my candles in. I know it is. It's just really, really practical, and I don't have to go far at all, travel far at all.
Millions of hidden places.
Yeah, it just, I know, it just has so many fun little, I know, which is, I think, part of the appeal of campaign furniture. We do have another guest bath in here. So again, when they redid things, they redid it brilliantly. It's easy in, easy out shower, but it's a full bath. There are 3 full baths in the cottage, which is just wonderful. And at the other house, we only had 2 full baths. So in some ways, this cottage is more practical and it's a lot more functional. So we like that. I like the fact that this hallway here is broad enough that I can keep one of my seasonal treasure books on this book stand right here. And then if I want inspiration, if I just want to gather some ideas, then all I have to do is just reference a book. And this is constantly in rotation, what book I have here. This one happens to be my French Country Home. And a lot of these are seasonally categorized, so I can just open it to whatever the appropriate season is. Like, look at this, isn't that beautiful? Dahlias and just simple branches. If I want ideas for a tablescape, it's just a really fun way, I think, to use what we have. Yeah. Because all too often we have coffee table books or picture books, and we get them when we travel or we get them as a gift, and we flip through them once and then we never look at them again. They just reside on the bookshelf without any kind of interaction. And I really like to make use of the books I have, and this is one way I can do that. So typically I change this book out monthly, and it's just a fun way, like I said, to use what I have. And this one in particular, we'll put a link, my French Country Home. I love Sharon Santoni. She's just wonderful, and I follow her on Instagram. So whatever book I am looking at, it can go right there. Now, this, let's just say that this is not tidied up at all. This is my workshop right now for Christmas. I'm going to be on the Mesta Park Christmas tour, home tour. So I'm playing with some different ideas in here. So it's kind of a hot mess. But that said, and it turned dark as soon as we walked in here, Stuart. But hopefully you can see. So this is kind of my workshop, my workplace. As you can see, I didn't even put up my dustbuster for you. This is if you asked me what are some of the most indispensable items in your house that you can't live without a dustbuster, this one is what? This one is Black & Decker. So as I am cleaning up, making a mess and stuff like that, I can have it at the ready. This, I have relocated the flower arrangement that was in the kitchen. This is the one that I put together, Stuart. It's still fresh. Boy, this one has lasted a long time. And it's got that splendor, mahogany splendor, hibiscus, some alstroemeria, these begonia leaves. It still has a lot of life left in it. And this room kind of has some lilac grace notes. So it is in here for me to enjoy even amongst the chaos. These pillows were the ones that used to be in the banquette. And so now they have moved into my office, as have all of the different amaryllis bulbs that we potted up. And this gets, in the morning, it gets really, really bright, direct sun. I may even put a heating pad or something under them briefly to give them bottom warmth to see if I can get them to hurry up. But as I said when I potted them up, they bloom and they start out shooting out a stalk and leaves in their own time. There's not a whole lot I can do to affect that. So again, this is just my messy place. I did show this and I wanted to show you too, because this has been one of my favorite gifts I've ever given, and I've given I don't know how many of them, because it's just the ultimate luxury, I think. And it is a heated throw. It's not a heated blanket, it's a heated throw. A friend of mine had a double mastectomy not too long ago, and I got her one of these after her surgery, and she absolutely loved it. I think she's bought 4 or 5 of them for her family members, and definitely I am going to put that on my Christmas gift list for some members in my family. But it's just brilliant. Stuart, you're nodding your head.
I like it.
Well, and the other thing is if you're somebody like me that's always cold, there's another question of the day. If you are always cold, then I can't get comfortable and I just can't warm up, then this is the perfect thing to have because I can keep it in my lap while I'm working at the computer. I can just move it around with me wherever it is I go. You may see little bits of Christmas in here as I'm starting to play with some ideas. But I have to show you this. Oh my goodness. This just made me squeal. Look at this.
Holy smokes.
Isn't that adorable?
Man.
So my friend, I just opened this yesterday. My bestie Deborah made this for me. She does all sorts of needle-pointed Christmas ornaments. She does dozens every year for her family, and she did
So
this
cool.
one for me at the cottage, and I just think it's about as dear as can be. So I have the painting from her father, and I've got this from Deborah, and it will be in a place of prominence, not necessarily here where it's just residing temporarily, but I do love it so. And I've got lots of mess. I'm not even going to show you my bulletin board but I have to be real and I have to show you that we all need to have workspaces, don't we, Stuart, where we can kind of leave things out and it can be kind of messy, and ultimately when our ideas express themselves, then we put it all away and things look tidy again. Okay, let's take a break here before we go into my bedroom because I have made some changes there. Well, another kind of major seasonal change for me in my bedroom is that I switched out my bedding. What I had before I really liked, and I've used it elsewhere in the cottage and will use it again next season, but I wanted something that had a little bit more of a warm, wintry feel to it. And I found this, I got this at Pottery Barn. I am a girl who loves paisley. I love the way it looks in here with the dark furniture, and I think I don't know, I just think it befits the season a little bit better than what I had before, and I'll put a link to this if something like this is up your alley, if you like paisley as much as I do. And I love the kind of reddish burgundy tones, maybe inspired by the color of the month. Another thing that it then made me kind of want to switch up are these lamps. And I have ordered 2 new lamps, and we can put an image of them here, Stuart, because I wanted something that it just looked like it matched the decor, the new decor, a little bit better. I love these lamps. I will not get rid of them. They will come back in the spring, but for now I wanted something that just had a little bit of a different vibe, a richer vibe, both in tone and in appearance, and so I'm going to switch those out. Everything else in here, if you guys have been following my channel, you've seen it before. All of this came from the other house. A good bit of it came from my parents' home. The table over there, the little desk, this table, these are all things, the blanket rack, these are all things that belonged to my family and are very dear to me. And so it's, not real fancy, it's not real large, but it definitely does the trick for us. And then Stuart, I'm going to go into my bathroom, but let's take a break. Let's take a break and go to Italy. Now let's take a break, and I want to show you something that gives me an idea for the parlor. Isn't this cool? And this gives me an idea for something that I might want to replicate in between the parlor and the kitchen. They slide in and out. They are original doors because this used to be a porch. Now, this is very much, my bathroom is still a project in process, but I have made great headway. So this huge blank wall over here above this very messy table, I have a grid of 16 photographs that were taken by my friend Deborah. They're 10 by 10, and there's going to be a whole symmetrical gallery wall grid of those images that will hang here. I think that's going to be just spectacular. So then I'll do a little bit more zhuzhing. I'll switch some things out here for once those are in place. But those things will inform kind of the rest of the aesthetic of the bathroom. But it's pretty magnificent. for a bathroom, and I feel quite luxurious when I am in here bathing by candlelight. And yes, it is. It is a simple life luxury. Not even a simple one. It's just luxurious in general. And yes, I'm always sipping the bubbly while I'm sitting in my bubble bath.
Of course.
Yeah, in my dreams. So there you go. This is the bathroom. It is mammoth. I love it. Some of you asked before, where is the potty? Well, the potty is hidden in here. And so it's good for privacy, and it's also good for not having exposure to the toilet when you don't want it. But don't you think this might be an idea for my
Pocket
friend?
doors are cool.
Pocket doors, this is kind of cool, and I like the fact that they are divided pane, and they're mirrored divided pane. They're original to the house.
I just realized they're mirrored.
So, yeah. Well, they're on this side, they are not. On this side, they are painted, so that's why you didn't notice it before. So anyhow, it's kind of a cool idea. So let's take a break here, and we can go to the back of the house. We'll come this way to the back of the cottage and the area that I predominantly think of as Hub's territory, with the exception of the laundry room. So if you were here and you followed along on all of my different projects, you know that none of this existed when we moved in. So I cannot, you'll ask me what color this is, and I cannot remember exactly, but I'll try to find out. It pretty much matches the same color as the island in the kitchen, and I like the cohesion of that, and I like the way it looks. This has proven to be, it may not be the most attractive, but this has proven to be so functional for me. I have all of these just different boxes, storage boxes here on this wicker etagere, and it just is I just can't tell you how practical it is. Predominantly because I've got all of these things marked.
Yeah.
So when Hubs wants to know where something is, I can say, go to the laundry room and go to the box that says chargers, or go to the cube that says toolbox. And it's pretty intuitive, both for himself and for me. And I like the practicality of it. It may not be the best looking, but it really works for me. In my other house, I really didn't have a storage area too much in the laundry room. I guess I kind of did above, but not for these kind of practical things. So yeah, so this is a little bit different. I do have a smaller sized washer and dryer, a compact size, but you can see that we allowed for a larger size later if I have to replace these. This is all I could find during COVID, and actually for Hubs and myself, it's been just fine. One change I did make is, and I don't know that I can turn them on because the battery may have run out, or they may not need to come on because I've already got these illuminated. But I did get some of these battery operated lights that are under here. They're motion censored, so when I walk in, then they turn on. Yeah, see, there we go. It was too bright in here for them. If I turned it off for a length of time, that would also come on. But these are great, and I have found that they are particularly valuable when we have power outages. So I may not have a generator, but I have my under counter lights. So we'll put a link to those, because I just keep buying more and more of them because I find them to be so,
for years now, kind of too.
so practical. As have I bought a million of these lights that go over the artwork, and these are also battery operated on off. I've showed you these before, but they are pretty brilliant, if I do say so myself, and I love them. Okay, now I call this back part of the house Hub's part of the house, because he's got his own bathroom back here. He's got his own closet space, and all of his mementos and his artifacts and everything are back here. But we do have a guest bedroom that has a full-size bath off of it, and I don't know what state that bath is in, so I'm not going to show it to you. But this is where Hubs keeps a good part of his library, a good bit of his fishing paraphernalia. He's got a large closet in here. There's a TV, so it doubles as his space, but it also is a great guest room, so when the kids come home, they have it. Now, one regret I have about the cottage that I really would have been so much happier and satisfied with had it come with it, and that would have been some kind of additional space for an exercise room. In the past, we had this down in the basement, but we just have no place else that we can put this massive treadmill. So for right now, it's right here, because if we had it any place else that was really further away or where it wasn't front and center, we wouldn't use it. So this actually gets used, and it's not just a place to hang your clothing at the end of the day. And this room, it always comes as a surprise to people when they see the cottage for the first time, because it's just kind of unexpected. It's unexpectedly large. It is a fabulous gathering space. So for the first time, when my family comes home for the holidays, we can all gather in one place, and we can watch a movie, we can watch a football game, we can have guests over to watch a football game. It's extra special cozy, because one of the things on my must-have list when we move, that it must have a wood-burning fireplace, and this is indeed a wood-burning fireplace. And this is our favorite spot. I often ask people, if you've got a really beautiful large home, where do you have coffee in the morning? How do you decide where you're going to have coffee? Well, definitely in the cooler, colder months, this is where we have coffee. In front of the fire in the morning, we open up the windows so that we can feel the morning breeze, and it is a little bit of heaven. We keep it really dark in here, with the exception of candles lit and the fire going, and it's charming.
The inside of the windows since we put them?
I don't know if they have,
cool.
if they have or not, but it's pretty special. Now, another key, I think, to creating a cozy ambiance in the fall and in the winter is what I like to think of as house music. And Stuart, you always comment on what music I have going. I don't watch a lot of TV during the day, but I always have some kind of playlist. This is one of my favorites. This is autumn jazz. Autumn jazz, I love it. I love instrumental music. I love jazz. And I think it adds just another layer of welcoming to people when they come in the door. And I love that. The gallery wall pretty much consists of all sorts of maps from different places where we have been. It's our souvenir that we bring back when we travel. And I have always wanted to have a large gallery wall. And so when we moved to the cottage, I finally got my wish. So I've got my cozy fireplace. I've got my candles lit. The bar is, for the most part, stocked, so people can make their own drinks. And I'll obviously put out everything they might need. We had a martini party before we went out to a dinner and dancing event the other day, and it was so fun. One change that I did make is I put another one of these beautiful metallic terrain garlands up, and I love this one, and I'm going to be very sad to take it down. I may not even take it down. I'll leave it up all winter long until spring, and then I've just got some gourds here. So I think it looks pretty cozy in here.
It does.
It looks pretty cozy in here.
The bookshelf. It's a really cool bookshelf.
Yeah, the bookshelf, my husband is an anthropologist / archaeologist of sorts, and so he has lots of mementos, lots of artifacts, lots of biblos that he has collected and gathered over the years. The skulls and things I think are just inherently beautiful. And a good friend of Jamie's brother was a person who worked at the San Francisco Zoo And when some of the animals died, these were not hunted. When some of the animals died, they just kept the skulls and things because, again, they are inherently natural and inherently beautiful. And when my husband's brother passed, Jamie inherited them. So he has some very, very, very special things in here, and I do love these bookcases. And if you are binge watching, if you start to binge watch, if you're new to this channel and you want to go back and see the evolution of how all of this came into being, you will notice that it was quite contentious about where to put the bookshelves and where to put the TV, and but it turned out just fine, I think, and we are thrilled with it. We are thrilled with it. The backyard, Stuart, let's give them a glimpse of the backyard because it looks pretty much the way I wanted it to look. It's an outdoor living room. When we sit outside, I've got all of my blankets at the ready. These are the best blankets, you guys. These are washable wool blankets. And these are from Arcturus Woolen Goods. And I wanted a stack of them that I could put outside when we sit outside and it's colder than it is today. And I just like the way they look all stacked up. I think it looks very organic, and it's part of the decor that is used. And I love the way it looks. And then if we go outside, Stuart, did you light a little fire out here? Okay, let's take a break. Let's take a break, and then we'll go to the outside. Stuart, are you enjoying the fire out here?
It's nice.
So last week, I think it was, we put the solo fire pit in place, and we have already used it quite a bit. All of the plants and everything that needed to be overwintered have been taken away to the greenhouse. And now on evenings when it's really chilly, we can sit out here by the fire, and I think it just makes a lovely little outdoor dining room. I mentioned, I think in another video, that I think I am going to have a wooden tabletop made for this. Cool idea. Yeah, I think that's going to be more practical. A lot of people like that idea. Yeah, I like that idea. So I'm still working on that. There's not a lot of touches that need to be addressed. One of them being, however, that I need to shut the shed door.
Oh, that's my fault.
Oh, you got the fire starter?
I got the fire starter out, and I guess I didn't push it hard enough.
Yep. So there you go. That is shut. And let's just close with me showing you one last thing, and that is, now that the leaves are finally starting to fall here in Oklahoma, and I don't have a lot of my own leaves, I had Kayla's guys drop off some leaves for me. So I'm having to borrow other people's leaves.
That is crazy.
Or I guess I'm not going to give them back, so I'm not necessarily borrowing them. But I'm going to put the bags underneath here, dump them in my works shredder, shred them up, and then mix them probably with a 50-50 blend of that Happy Grow fine pine mix and the shredded leaves, and it will break down over time, and I think it'll be a brilliant mulch in the front because I need to continually amend that soil. I'll put a little bit of it here around certain plants too in that way. So I think it'll make a brilliant mulch for the front. I'll do a 50-50 blend of that fine pine Happy Grow mix and shredded leaves. Kind of 50-50 I think will be about right, and I think it will look really, really good. And I think it'll just be kind of the finishing touch that I put on the front yard after the bulbs get in, after the pansies get in, and then whew, I am going to call it done for fall. I'm going to move back inside with a stack of books, some of that hot chocolate, and I'm just going to kind of enjoy the cozy vibe that hopefully I've created here. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you back on the Wednesday Walkabout.